Welcome back to this very special broadcast of ours, coming to you live from the Cape Town International Convention Centre. This is our post-budget breakfast with the Minister himself. Minister, good to see you.
Good to see you, Tuli, and in Cape Town this time, not in Johannesburg.
Exactly, and this is the, I suppose, place to be. It has been for the last week. There have been so many official proceedings taking place. It has been hectic. I mean, there's no two ways about it. How have you felt, and how have you handled this last week?
It's been amazing. The changes that have taken place, I think for many of us, somebody remarked that our generation has been very fortunate to experience several transitions. Transition from apartheid to democracy, a transition from Madiba to President Mbeki, the transitions that we have gone through since then, right up to last week. And we are now going through another transition. You are seeing the country getting renewed. You are seeing a new sense of optimism again. Somebody yesterday also said it's 1994-ish.
Yeah.
And so it's been amazing. And the way in which we have carried ourselves, how our democracy is maturing and proving itself in the world that it is maturing. The people of South Africa are resilient, taking all the changes in their stride, being positive, and even jocular about the things. I mean, South Africans would joke about anything. And that is quite an amazing spirit that we see among our people.
I know. Tell me about it. I mean, Kendrick Lamar was trending yesterday.
We're going to be all right. We're going to be all right.
You've got to love South Africans. Of all the things they got out of the budget was like, hang on a second. Kendrick Lamar has just been quoted in the South African budget by our minister. Are you a big fan?
I'm a big fan of different genres of music. I did think of also using Babes Odumo. You know, after everything said and done, to say to our people, look, we're going to be all right, things are going to improve,
I love it. Well, I mean, you've got to love the humor of South Africans, and please don't shout at me for saying this, but I have to ask you, what level of Candy Crush are you on now?
70.
Okay. So now that the pressing questions are out the way, let's talk about the budget.
I've been offered Candy Crush rehab. So perhaps once I reach level 100,
yeah,
I'm on 73 right now.
Yeah.
Then I will go through my rehab sessions. But look, Candy Crush is a nice way to relax, to unwind.
So. Yeah.
We work. I play Sudoku as well to try and unwind. Because there are things I don't do in order to unwind. So I have to find other ways that also help me during tense sessions at times. Good.
Well, now that we've got that out the way, as I said, let's focus on the numbers, because it was bold but necessary. It was tough but necessary. This move on VAT, it has angered a lot of people, and a lot of people also say, look, we've been anticipating this for years. I mean, analysts have been predicting every year we're going to see VAT going up, it's going up, it's going up, and it never happened, but this year it happened. Were your hands tied?
You know, we are probably a year or two overdue. We should have introduced it a few years back, but we've had to squeeze the budget in all sorts of ways until we ran out of options. And when you are facing a 51 billion rand shortfall, which improved obviously between the time of the MTBPS and now, when we presented the budget, by about 2.6 billion rand, we had said in the MTBPS that if we must stabilize the debt, because that 51 billion rand shortfall meant that our budget deficit would rise, it meant that our debt to GDP would rise, hitting 60% of GDP by 2020, 2021, what it would have meant if we allowed it to do that, let alone that we would obviously be downgraded by all the ratings agencies, but it would have meant that the fastest rising item of the budget would be debt service costs and servicing the interest on our debt. It would then eclipse all other items of spending of the budget, such as social expenditure and economic investments. Now, you don't want to be doing that and therefore not transforming your society because you are paying the debt. All you are doing is to take this debt and force-feeding it to future generations. So we said in the MTBPS, we need to stabilize the debt below 60% by arriving at a package of fiscal measures that would amount to 40 billion rand. So we had to find 40 billion rand, on top of which came the 16th of December. The former president announced fee-free higher education, which meant that we would need to find 57 billion rand over the medium term in order to cater for the phasing in of this policy decision. This was reaffirmed by the ruling party at its conference and by the new leadership as it was announced by President Ramaphosa in the State of the Nation address. So we had no choice. We had to find a revenue measure that was going to give us a sufficient quantum of money that would enable us to do all the things we needed to do when we have taken the decisions to cut expenditure and looked at all other tax revenue sources.
Yeah. Did President Cyril Ramaphosa also agree with this? I mean, was he privy to the budget before it was delivered?
The budget process is a long process. It's a long, drawn-out process. When the minister presents the budget speech, that's actually the culmination of a long, drawn-out process that starts months in advance. It involves consulting cabinet on the fiscal framework. So you present the fiscal framework and economic outlook to cabinet and say to them, this is where we are now. This is where we want to be. To get there are following decisions that you need to take. You outline those decisions and you need your cabinet colleagues to say, yes, we agree, and therefore you can go ahead and start doing these things. They also have to play their part because in some instances it involves sectoral policies that they are responsible for. So, and in the course of that, you toing and froing between the president, the deputy president, taking them on board. You consult with the finance MECs in provinces. You go to the budget forum, which involves the local government institutions, SALCA and municipalities, the mayors. You go to cabinet on various occasions up until the time you come back to the president to say, Mr. President, this is now the final document that we have. It now contains this will be the economic outlook for the country, this will be the fiscal framework, this will be the division of revenue, this will be how we are going to spend the money, these will be cuts, if any, and so on. These will be the revenue sources that we are going to implement. So President Ramaphosa has been consulted and has been privy to all the processes right from the outset. And on occasion, you go to the president directly, one-on-one. I went to the deputy president, the former deputy president, on a one-on-one basis. Then he became president, still came to him on a one-on-one basis on a whole range of issues, including the structural reform items that he spoke about in the State of the Nation address, which helped to level the field for the budget that we presented yesterday. So when you present the budget, you've gone through an entire process of consultations with your principals and your cabinet colleagues.
Which is important for South Africans to know, because as we opened the show this morning, there was this question doing the rounds. Is this a Zuma budget or is this a Ramaphosa budget? And what we're understanding from you is that this is an inclusive budget. It's not that it is a one-sided presidential budget. This is, that there is so much that goes into the budget. And whether it was delivered today, next week, or last last week, it would have been the same.
It would have been the same. We would have had to make the tough decisions. I think at the end of the day, you are absolutely correct. It's an inclusive process. It's a long, drawn-out process. We would have had to make the choices that we needed to make. And the choice for us, put simply, do you defer the difficult decisions now for someone else to have to make later? Or do you take the difficult decisions now so that later we can benefit from those decisions? I think the financial markets have reacted well. We've been engaging very well with them in letting them understand the things that we are trying to do. They've highlighted the challenges that they thought we were facing. You saw with the decision by S&P to downgrade our local currency debt, and Moody's putting us on a 90-day review last year. And so we have had to make the tough calls about how we are going to stabilize our debt, how we are going to implement fee-free higher education in a fiscally sustainable manner, and how are we going to ensure that all the measures that we announce do not have the worst effect on the economy and on growth, so that we are still able to implement structural reforms that will induce growth in the economy.
All right, Minister, we're going to take a break here on the program. Everything you've mentioned, ratings agencies, tertiary education. I also want to talk about nuclear. I want to talk about a lot of things, as well as questions from you at home at Morning Live, SABC, #Budget 2018, and our highly esteemed audience that have gathered here. We'll also get some questions from them. We'll see you after this. Stay tuned.